Welcome back to Care and Conversation Studio, live from the Care Show in London. We are late in the day now. It's 2:40, on the second day of the show, so energy's low. But here we are, back in the studio. New interview, new person that's just popped along and's going to jump in. So do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Frances Duffy. I'm a consultant clinical psychologist, and I'm also founder and CEO of 6D Dementia Training.
Perfect. So what do you do?
So basically, I support caregivers and health care staff to better understand dementia and respond and engage to the person with dementia in a way that helps them to feel safe and secure.
Perfect. So how does that generally articulate itself? Do you sort of do that with groups or individuals? Do you go to care homes? Do you work with, how does that?
Originally I was delivering kind of live training, either face-to-face or online, but the demand of the training exceeded my capacity to deliver it. So I was really lucky to secure some funding from Innovate UK, and I've set up an online dementia training platform.
Oh, okay, perfect. So what, in that sort of world, obviously, every person that's on their dementia journey is in a different space and has a different needs. What are there general tips that you can give people?
Yeah, so I suppose basically people with dementia have exactly the same needs as you and I do. But as their dementia progresses, they need support to actually meet their needs. But sometimes they don't understand that they need that support. And what that means is sometimes they would decline our support. But the other thing is, because of their dementia, they don't always know who we are whenever we go in and offer support. So if you think of an example, let's say you were lying in bed this morning and two strangers come into your room and started to remove your clothing. What would you do?
Yeah, I'd be concerned.
You'd be terrified, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And you would probably act in ways to defend yourself and ask them to leave. Sadly, that's the experience of hundreds of thousands of people living with dementia every day. Care staff that they don't know come in to offer support. And when the care staff then approach them and try to remove their clothing for support, the person tries to defend themselves. And their behaviour gets labelled as challenging and aggressive.
So then they give a medication.
So they get, exactly. So what happens is their distress sometimes is managed through psychotropic medication, and that's got increased risks of death and stroke. So, but if the care staff really understand dementia and the person, then they can offer care in a way that helps that person to feel safer. So that's what my training's about. It's helping the caregivers and health and care staff to better understand dementia so that when they go in to offer that support, the person doesn't feel so scared. The person's more likely then to accept their support, and it's a better outcome for both the person with dementia and also for the care staff.
So you would make an assumption that the person you were caring for might not know what's happening.
Exactly. They might not know who you are. So what we would say is we'd go in, say hello, sit with them, don't stand over them. Say hello, tell them who you are, and spend a few moments to help them to feel safe before you then approach them to support them to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Other things though that happen is that if you imagine you've been lying in bed all night, you might be quite stiff. So if we support someone to move and they've maybe got long-term health conditions or arthritis that makes them feel sore, then whenever we support them to move, we're going to increase their experience of pain. And if I were to try and support you to move and you were in pain, you'd resist that movement and you might reach out to stop me from moving you. So there's very basic things that think about, should we be offering pain medication before we support someone to move? So very basic things like that.
Yeah, it's amazing that it doesn't necessarily get thought about, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think what we find is that carers always want to do the right thing. They go into the caring profession because they want to, support people. It's a vocation. But if you don't know what to do, you can actually respond to the person in ways that actually increase their distress without intending to. You believe that you're doing the right thing, but sometimes we just don't know how best to respond. So that's really...
No, it's really fascinating, isn't it? That it's... on a lot of levels, very simple,
exactly.
And that we're just missing it, and that in places where care is provided for people with dementia,
exactly.
that there's still gaps in knowledge.
Yep.
Is there any, if you're maybe if that's the basics, any more advanced tips that you can offer people in terms of that?
Yeah, so basically there's all of the basics, but one of the things that we also really do is to help people to understand the symptoms of dementia and what that experience might be like for the person. So for example, if the person's got visuospatial processing as dementia progresses, then the way they see the world is going to be very different. So for example, someone may have impaired peripheral vision. So if I have impaired vision and I've got impaired hearing, and you approach me from the side or you approach me from behind, I won't see you coming or I won't hear you coming. So whenever you approach me, you might just appear right in front of me and I might be kind of quite frightened. So it's really thinking about that, thinking about all of the things that the person with dementia might experience and how we might engage with them in a way, again, to help them to feel kind of safe. So it's really understanding what that means. And also things like, you know, we throw that term impaired memory about a lot, but what does that actually mean for a person? So what would it mean to you if you did have impaired memory? Like, we all have slips of memory every day. Like, I run up the stairs and forget, you know, what it is I've gone up for, and that's kind of a frustration that I have. But if you're someone living with dementia and that happens quite frequently, then that can really impact on how you feel every day, that sort of build up and frustration. So it's, and also that safety, you know, so every time we meet, I gradually get to know you and we build up a relationship. But if you've forgotten those previous encounters, then we don't build that relationship up. So that safety that you have with people that you know, you may not have that if you've got a dementia.
Yeah.
And it'll be almost as if you're meeting people for the first time.
And I might assume as the caregiver that you do, because I've built a relationship with you. But yeah, I've not really realised, even if you've met someone 50 times and they've only remembered 3 of those interactions, or remember a loose feeling of acquaintanceship rather than maybe a deep bond that you have with that person because you've been delivering personal care for them every day for the last 6 months, you know, and it's really, you know, I suppose, it's really about putting that in consideration and making people aware of those ideas. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
If you were a sandwich, what type of sandwich would you be?
Oh my goodness, that's a really interesting question. What kind of a sandwich would I be?
Most people just roll around on their favourite sandwich.
yeah, probably something a wee bit spicy, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what I put in the filling. Something chicken spicy.
Yeah, chicken spicy, sort of tikka, chicken tikka, something like that. Yeah, okay, well, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to the studio. It's been nice to meet you.
Thank you, it's been good to talk to you.
And you're doing great work, and hopefully you can just let more people know about things they can do to help people with dementia live better, more enriched lives, you know, with less distress and unnecessary medications. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll be back shortly.